Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio, on this 13th of September. We've still got just over 3 weeks to go before the start of early voting in the state, but already in Cuyahoga County, more people have requested absentee ballots than voted by mail in all of 2016. Check it out, that 202,719 number is already 5% over the number of people who voted by mail in 2016. Who's doing the requesting? 52.5% of Democrats, 34% of Republicans, and just 13% of nonpartisans. And remember, that's the largest voting bloc in the county, accounting for 70% of voters. A couple of housekeeping notes. I got a number of calls this week from voters who had already sent in their vote by mail applications, confused by the fact that they were getting additional applications in the mail. Don't be. If you fill one out, that's all you need. Don't send in any more. That only gums up the works. Secretary of State Frank LaRose wants you to know that because there will be more going out.
We're going to do another 2 rounds of them because what we want to make sure of is that everybody that gets registered to vote between now and October 5th has the chance to receive that absentee ballot request.
LaRose says the most common mistakes he sees are from people who forget to sign the forms and from people who write today's date where it asks for your birth date. And remember, he says, it requires a stamp. On the subject of postage, though, LaRose will go before the state's controlling board Monday to ask permission to use his office's money to pay for the return postage when the ballots are mailed out October 6th. It's something he says it will speed up the process as ballots don't sit on the tables of voters who might not have stamps lying around, while also, he says, making each mailbox a drop box.
This idea about should we have drop boxes and that kind of thing. If we have postage paid on the absentee ballot return envelopes, then whether it's the one at the end of your driveway or the one stuck to your front porch or the blue box down the street, every mailbox in the state becomes a drop box.
And if the state can get the ballots out early, the hope is they will be returned early, and that will help flatten the curve in a different way as we get closer to Election Day. Now, next door in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they cannot legally open the envelopes that the ballots are returned in until 7 a.m. on Election Day. Luckily, that's not the case here in Ohio. Your ballot envelope can be opened on its return after October 6th, all of your information verified, and the ballots can actually be scanned.
They just can't tabulate. Obviously, not until 7:30 on election night. Once we've confirmed all the polls are closed, that's when you can start to add up the numbers. So in Ohio, the absentee votes are actually the first ballots counted in most cases.
In most cases, they are the operative words. That's because under Ohio law, all ballots postmarked by the day before the election can be counted as long as they are received in the mail at the BOE up to 10 days after the election.
We don't know what that number will be. Maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of ballots that are yet outstanding.
And here's the thing, under Ohio law, we won't know how those votes were cast until 3 weeks after the election.
You can release results on election night, that's that unofficial canvass, and then weeks later.
So if you were to win the state by 446,000 votes, like Donald Trump did in 2016, those outstanding votes aren't likely to be an issue. But if the margin is closer, like 2004, when George W. Bush only won by 118,000 votes, they might be. And if by chance we were to somehow have a 1976 scenario where Jimmy Carter only won the state by 11,000 votes, and watch the lawyers flock to Ohio.
There's an old saying among elections officials. They say the elections official's prayer, Lord, whoever wins, let them win big.
Fittingly, on the subject of prayer, not all local leaders are elected. Some are appointed, as is the case with the head of the Cleveland Catholic Diocese. Over the last 173 years, there's only been 11 of them. Tomorrow at 2, we will mark the installation of the 12th. When former Bishop Nelson Perez was installed as the 11th Bishop of Cleveland in September of 2017, among those in the celebratory procession that day was the man who would become the 12th, Bishop Edward Malesic of Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Truth be told, he told us in July that was the last time he was in Cleveland before getting the call from the Vatican, but he's well aware the church he's inheriting here is impressive.
I know that because I Googled it.
And he also spoke by phone with the man he's replacing, Archbishop Perez.
He said to me, Ed, I have 2 words for you. Lucky you.
The 60-year-old's only other tie to Ohio was his time in the seminary in Columbus. The challenges the church faces today, though, he says, know no border.
We have COVID-19, racial tensions, and political divisions. We cannot ignore these challenges.
There is also the challenge of dwindling church participation, fueled over the last decade or two by the church sexual abuse scandal.
There's a crisis of credibility because bishops in the past did not do the things the way that bishops today would be doing. I sometimes think that they've heard about a church that I don't belong to. You know, sometimes people say, well, the church is mean, this church is corrupt, the church is this. And I'm like, it's just not the church I belong to. So I need to tell them what the church is.
Bishop Malesic acknowledging the difficulty in taking over a diocese during a pandemic. And as for the debate among those who claim their faith will protect them in a ways a mask won't, The former biology major said this.
The Lord also gave us a brain and gave us science. And we gave us faith, but he also gave us science. And we have to use the best science we have available, and so I listened to the experts.
The lifelong Pennsylvanian, though, had one request this summer to ease his transition from Steelers country to Browns.
Can I at least bring one terrible towel with me for old time's sake?
So let me just say a prayer or two for the Browns this afternoon against the Ravens. Bishop Malesik's installation mass will take place tomorrow afternoon at 2 at the Cathedral. With Democracy 2020, I'm John Kosich. Enjoy your Sunday. Stay safe.